Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're all doing well. It's been a while since I made an update video, and in my last update video, it was very personal and I didn't really talk that much about a bunch of tangible stuff. So in this video, I kind of want to keep it personal, but also give you guys tangible things or numbers, something that you might find useful for your own work or your own journey in landscape photography. So if you're unfamiliar, about a year ago, actually 14 months, I decided to live in my car full time. At the time of April 2021, I lost my job and then also broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and so I was just in a state of limbo, trying to decide what I should do. I took a month-long road trip just living out of my car at the time. I had a small conversion that was just some platforms, and it was kind of a test period to see if I could do it more in a longer period, basically. And I really enjoyed it, so I decided I'll do this for a year. So that was last summer. And that last summer, I said I will do it for a year and try to decide or try to reevaluate everything when the next summer comes. Well, that's now. That's this summer as I'm talking to you guys. And I've been reevaluating some things, looking at some numbers, and the truth is I don't think I reached the point that I needed to be to sustain myself. But we're going to break down those numbers and talk about that stuff right after this intro. All right, so to start off, let's talk about some numbers. Just like in my series before where I looked at the numbers of the past 3 months in every video, I'm gonna do that for this video as well. So I'm gonna read some numbers off to you and put them on the screen. So in the last 3 months, I made $675 from YouTube. Now to put it in perspective, that's all just from ads and memberships. So from just ad revenue, I only made $430, and I made $245 from memberships, which is just that little join button down below for people that want to pay me a sum, I think it's $6 a month, just to support me, basically at this point. They also get access to a members only Discord, but pretty much that's all they're really doing, and I really, really appreciate it. So if you're still in that, or you're still paying for that, thank you, it means the world to me. Every little bit counts, and all of those numbers really matter. But the truth is, if I just look at the ad revenue, $430 over 3 months is really tiny compared to what I should be making from all the work that I put into these YouTube videos. Now, I've always known that YouTube ad revenue was probably going to be one of the least amounts of revenue streams that I could possibly get, and that I'm just supposed to leverage the audience, you guys, and monetize myself in other ways, which is happening. It's just happening at a slower rate than I needed to. So let's talk about the next one, and we'll get into more about that in a little bit later. So the next thing is that I made $1,652 specifically on Instagram Reels. Now, if you caught my video last week, I talk about these Reels and I talk about making that money. And honestly, I look back at this and think that that was kind of a fluke. It was a one-time thing. I made the money, I got lucky, and then they moved the goalposts so that making that amount of money again is pretty unlikely for me. I'm not really about trying to continue to chase this carrot, even though my metrics aren't really changing that much, but I very much appreciated that amount of money that I got from Instagram Reels. The harsh reality, though, is that I made more from one reel than I did from 6 months of ad revenue on YouTube. But one is far more fulfilling and provides actual people in my audience that want to support me, which is far more important than a little bit of quick cash, which I recognize. So it's one of those things where I'm very appreciative of that windfall of money, but at the same time, I also recognize it's not sustainable and it's not what I'm here to do. It just happens to be what I made a bunch of money off of, so I thought I would report it to you guys. Next up is I made $1,335 from my F-Stoppers articles that I write weekly or every other week sometimes. Writing on the road is very difficult. Sometimes I don't have service. Sometimes it's just not something I can prioritize when I'm trying to edit and do photos and live in the car. I don't have access to coffee shops for a lot of the times when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so it can just be more difficult. But that's how much I made from F-Stoppers articles over the last 3 months. Huge help. They also help provide people to watch this channel more, which is also kind of the reason I do it. I don't necessarily do it for the money, but the added money is fantastic. Last but not least, prints and downloads. I made $300 total over the 3 months. And the truth is I haven't sold a single print in the last 3 months, but it's kind of mostly my fault. Getting prints online has been kind of slow. And I think the more and more prints that I get online provides more and more options for you guys to click on a link down below and look at prints that you might actually want to buy that you really want, but also support me. Other things are the downloads. So basically that $300 is all downloads. It's just random people buying my Lightroom calibration add-on thing that you don't even need to buy. They're just buying it out of just because it makes it easier to just hit a button and it's already there. But I talk about that in my video that I made over a year ago on it. But $300 is $300 from it. It's pretty great. Yeah, so those are the numbers. I've made a little under $4,000 in the last 3 months. And to put it in perspective, I have spent $1,776 on just gas, or petrol for everyone else that's not in America. That's how much money I've spent on gas alone. So I don't think I need to explain to anyone watching this that $4,000 over 3 months is a sustainable amount of money. It's definitely not what I need to live, and I've definitely been draining the savings that I've had. Now, I always told myself that I could keep spending that savings as long as I was getting closer and closer to my goals, but the reality is I'm not really making much more money than I was a year ago. I am still making essentially the same amount through different revenue streams. Obviously, random things like the Instagram reel was great. Last year around this time, I won some contests that I had entered, and that was great. But sustainable income is the hardest part, and that's kind of what I have to look at, is how much I can make every month as long as I do X, Y, and Z. Now, those numbers are definitely grim, but there is a possible light at the end of the tunnel, and that is my workshops. So I've posted my first workshop I've talked about in past videos, and if that happens to get filled, I could probably continue doing this, or I would at least have the motivation to continue doing it monetarily. Other things that are happening is I'm trying to think of other ways to monetize stuff. Maybe an ebook or some kind of physical book that you guys could buy and purchase. I have, what else have I been doing? Oh, I'm thinking about making phone backgrounds that are very simple, but they're just some of my photos that you would pay maybe $5 to download a pack of 5 phone backgrounds. It's not a huge thing, but those little things really help in the long run because they're supplemental income that give people ways to support me, and that's basically what has to happen for me to stay afloat. I also get constant emails, probably daily, about sponsorships, from anything from something completely random that has nothing to do with this channel, all the way to photo editing stuff and things like software, and Luminar AI actually is one that just reached out to me. But usually I don't want to take anything that I wouldn't recommend myself. The good news is, just this past week, I did get an email from a company that I've decided to get sponsored by. So in a future video, there will be future videos, just so you know, I will have a sponsorship spot. So that's a start. Those sponsorships are what basically can make or break if this channel can stay alive. So to answer the question that's in the title of this video, am I done with YouTube? The answer is not quite yet, but we're getting pretty close. It's one of those things where I'm almost out of money. So this whole time I've been sustaining myself with food and gas and stuff like that, with savings that I had from my past life, from work and everything like that, of being an adult. That's what I kind of relied on to try to see if I could make this work. The reality is, like I said before, I haven't gained enough momentum. I haven't found enough revenue streams to make myself sustainable. So if you watched last week's video, you might already know this, but my current plan is to go to Alaska and spend the summer there making content as like the last thing I possibly do for the channel, or at least as a more regular thing for the channel. So it might become a hobby. It might be something I only do when I have time or money or effort after I have to come back and possibly find, a real job or something like that. The truth is, I have worked harder in the last year than I have my entire life, but it has all been worth it because it doesn't feel like work all the time. There's a lot of stuff that I don't want to do, like getting print sales online or posting to Instagram or making stupid reels or whatever, but I still do them, and sometimes those are a good reminder of like what work should feel like. The truth is, all those moments where it doesn't feel like work, it feels like I'm kind of cheating. But anyways, yeah, I would love to keep the channel going, and I'm hoping that in the next 3 months, maybe I get more sponsorships like the one that reached out to me. Maybe my workshop fills up. Maybe I start selling more prints. Maybe things happen that can get me to a sustainable level. But the truth is, if it doesn't happen, I don't regret it. So I look back at the past and I think that I could have made a lot of decisions different. I could have been more frugal with that saved up money that I had. I could have accepted more sponsorships. I could have focused more on monetizing the channel earlier. But I didn't do any of those things, and I don't regret those decisions that I made because of what was going on in my life, and that sometimes I had to value things like my mental health. I had to value things like keeping this dream of doing this the way that I want to do it alive by not sacrificing things that just made this feel like a potential job. So I've always verged the line of keep doing this because I love it, and I'll spend 80 or 100 or 120 hours a week trying to make it work. I will literally live in my car, living and breathing, doing this to try to make it work, as long as I get to do it the way that I want to. And that, to me, I get to look back on and think that I did it that way, and I didn't sacrifice any of my, I guess, my own moral or ethic guides for trying to make this work. And it wouldn't be possible without all the support from you guys. Every comment, every like, every subscriber has really mattered. And as much as the monetization isn't necessarily there for me to sustain myself yet, the branding and the support and the constant reminder that people are out there absorbing things that I have to say, watching me fumble around like an idiot behind the camera, watching me fail to make photos, or watching my excitement when I get something that I really enjoy. And that is priceless. So I wish that I could just say that the money doesn't matter, but the reality is, for me to keep doing this the way that I want to, it does matter. And everything up until now only matters with you guys. So I really appreciate that if you made it this far in the video, and you've been supporting me over the past year and a half of my journey. It genuinely means the world to me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, even if I didn't make a cent. So thank you, thank you. In terms of the future, be on the lookout for some content from either the Pacific Northwest or Alaska, hopefully coming up soon. Also be on the lookout for more print sales, just more ways to support me if you want to, but again, there's no pressure. The biggest thing is, this isn't a cry for help. This isn't a please go click the link down below and find ways to donate money or support me or anything like that. I don't want that. I want you to genuinely support me if you want to, but this is not a cry for that. Regardless, thank you for watching, and thank you for all the support over the last year and a half. And maybe, cross our fingers, the next 3 months works everything out. So yeah, thank you. I'll see you again next week. Peace.